NASA has recently declared that the time has come to focus more on Venus following new discoveries regarding the possibility of life on the planet. If you review NASA's historical records from the 1960s, you will find that the agency once referred to Venus as a planet from hell. In comparison, Mars had gained more attention as a promising target for exploration. Such harsh descriptions of distant planets were not uncommon during the intense space race period, a time when the Soviet Union was also heavily 30 seconds involved in sending expensive missions to Venus, a planet that appeared almost devoid of any potential for supporting life. Despite this, the Soviet space program did not abandon its Venera missions until the dissolution of the Soviet Empire. Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson has played a key role in helping us understand why the Soviets were so captivated by Venus. Join us as we explore the declassified images of Venus captured by the Soviet Union. The collapse of the Soviet Union was momentous for numerous reasons. Not only 1 minute and 2 seconds did it alter the global political landscape, but it also concealed many secrets. The Soviet Union was famous for its secrecy, from operating one of the most sophisticated intelligence agencies in the world to keeping quiet about potential extraterrestrial encounters. Consequently, the former superpower kept numerous secrets hidden. Before the United States took the lead in planetary exploration, the Soviet Union was at the forefront of the space race. While the US and USSR space programs had both successes and failures, their primary 1 minute and 35 seconds focus remained Venus, the mysterious and hostile planet. In Russian, Venus is called Venera, which also became the name of the Soviet mission that lasted from 1961 to 1983. This occurred during the same period that the United States was focused on reaching the moon. The Soviets strategically decided to focus their resources on Venus during the space race. It is not entirely surprising that the Soviet Union invested so much in Venus. Were they considering the planet as a potential site for a military base, or 2 minutes and 9 seconds were they possibly exploring the idea of colonization after investigating the planet for any signs of life? The exact reasons behind their intense focus on Venus remain unclear, as the Soviet Union was deeply engaged in the Cold War and many of their objectives were kept secret. In fact, much of what we know about their Venus missions comes from declassified or unarchived documents. Even then, pinpointing the true motivations behind their relentless efforts is difficult. The Soviets didn't just land on Venus once, twice, or 3. 2 minutes and 40 seconds times. In total, they launched 28 rockets targeting the planet, with 13 successfully entering Venus's atmosphere. Of these, 8 missions managed to land successfully. These ambitious and complex missions positioned the Soviet Union as a leader in space exploration. While the United States was a close competitor, its focus was more on satellite technology and innovative infrastructure, whereas the Soviets were more committed to investigating the potential for life on distant planets. Their obsession with 3 minutes and 10 seconds Venus stemmed from their pursuit of scientific knowledge and technological supremacy. Most history books may not highlight this, but the Soviet space program was the first to send a probe into the atmosphere of a planet beyond Earth. It was also the first country to achieve a soft landing on another planet and the first to send back images and sound recordings from another planet's surface. While these groundbreaking achievements are often overshadowed by later American accomplishments, they were pivotal milestones in space exploration. 3 minutes and 40 seconds in 1992, the Soviet Space Agency was officially dissolved following the USSR's collapse and was later re-established under the new Russian name Roscosmos. Unfortunately, many historical records were lost or destroyed during this transition, which is why several aspects of the Soviet space program remain shrouded in mystery. Although we may never fully understand why the Soviets launched so many spacecraft into Venus's atmosphere, it is likely their decision was influenced by cost-effectiveness rather than 4 minutes and 11 seconds scientific curiosity. While the Soviet Union was undoubtedly interested in exploring Venus, they were also searching for the presence of water, solar radiation, and other environmental conditions. Without these missions, it would have been difficult for scientists to gain insights into Venus's extreme temperatures and thick atmosphere. Today, many cosmologists still argue that Venus is too hostile to support life. With temperatures hot enough to melt lead and an atmosphere dense with carbon dioxide, it's easy to dismiss the possibility of 4 minutes and 43 seconds life on Venus. But to overlook the pioneering efforts of the Soviet space program is to disregard an important chapter in history. For the Soviets, Venus was worth exploring, even if only as part of their broader goal to fuel the space race. Investigating planets like Mars was not entirely out of the question, but it was a much more costly endeavor than launching missions to Venus. The vast distance between Earth and other celestial bodies played a key role in determining where to focus resources. Venus, on average, is only 40 million kilometers, 5 minutes and 15 seconds away from Earth, whereas Mars is about 250 million kilometers away. This vast difference in distance is a major factor behind the high costs of Mars exploration. Additionally, the United States' global economic dominance made investigating Mars more feasible for them than for the Soviet Union. Some reports suggest that Soviet missions to Venus were unreliable and faced significant technical difficulties. Many of their spacecraft were not built to cover such vast interplanetary distances, and there were several instances where 5 minutes and 47 seconds communication was lost with the rockets. Given these obstacles, it makes sense that the Soviet space program would choose to focus on a nearer planet that offered a better chance of success. However, focusing only on the technical setbacks ignores the larger story of the Venera missions. When the Soviets began launching missions to Venus, the United States was still largely focused on reaching the Moon. NASA's Venus missions in the 1960s were plagued by failures, which led to the phenomenon known as the 6 minutes and 18 seconds Venus curse. Every time NASA launched a probe toward Venus, it ended in failure. This was when the Soviet Union saw an opportunity to capitalize on America's struggles and gain a significant victory in the space race. The Soviets accelerated their efforts to explore Venus, viewing the planet as a key milestone in the race to space. Despite their limited resources, the Soviets pressed on, launching a series of successful missions to Venus. While the United States focused on the Moon, the hellish planet label was attached to 6 minutes and 49 seconds Venus in popular media, often used by the United States to downplay the Soviet accomplishments. Despite the United States' skepticism, the Soviet Union remained committed to unraveling Venus's mysteries. Their continued success with the Venera program demonstrated their technical prowess and deepened humanity's understanding of our neighboring planet. By the late 1970s, Soviet engineers had refined their spacecraft designs, making them more resilient to Venus's extreme conditions. The Venera 9 and Venera 10 missions provided the first-ever black-and-white images of the planet's surface, revealing a landscape covered in shattered rocks and devoid of any signs of life. These images fueled further speculation about Venus's geological history and the forces that shaped its inhospitable environment. 7 minutes and 54 seconds in 1982, the Soviet Union achieved yet another historic milestone with Venera 13 and Venera 14. These probes not only captured the first color panoramic images of Venus's surface but also recorded audio from the planet, sounds of the wind sweeping across its scorching, barren plains. These missions confirmed what scientists had long suspected. Venus was a world of extreme pressure and unbearable heat, where even the most advanced technology could only survive for a short period. 8 minutes and 25 seconds with each successful mission, the Soviets inched closer to answering a question that had long intrigued scientists. Had Venus ever been capable of supporting life? Some theories suggested that billions of years ago, Venus may have had oceans and a climate similar to Earth's before a runaway greenhouse effect transformed it into the hostile world we see today. The Soviet probes, however, found little evidence of liquid water, and the thick clouds of sulfuric acid in the atmosphere only reinforced the idea that Venus had become a planet of extremes. 8 minutes and 56 seconds. Despite these challenges, Soviet scientists remained determined to push the boundaries of planetary exploration. Plans were drafted for more advanced missions, ones that could withstand Venus's harsh environment for extended periods. Some proposals even suggested sending balloon-like probes to float within Venus's thick atmosphere, gathering data over longer durations. However, as the Soviet Union neared its collapse in the late 1980s, funding for these ambitious projects dwindled. 9 minutes and 33 seconds. By the early 1990s, the Venera program had come to an end. The dissolution of the Soviet Union meant that many of its most promising space projects were abandoned or absorbed into the newly formed Russian space agency, Roscosmos. The United States, meanwhile, shifted its focus back to Venus with the Magellan mission, which used radar mapping to study the planet's surface in unprecedented detail. Though the space race had faded, Venus remained a subject of scientific curiosity. 10 minutes and 7 seconds. In the years that followed, interest in Venus fluctuated. Missions to Mars became the priority, as the red planet appeared to offer a better chance of finding evidence of past or present life. However, new discoveries have recently rekindled interest in Venus. In 2020, astronomers detected possible signs of phosphine gas in Venus's atmosphere, a potential indicator of microbial life. Though the findings remain controversial, they have sparked discussions about returning to Venus with new and more advanced missions. 10 minutes and 39 seconds today, a new era of Venus exploration is on the horizon. Both NASA and Roscosmos have announced plans for future missions, aiming to uncover the secrets hidden beneath Venus's thick clouds. The Venera-D mission, a collaboration between Russia and the United States, is set to explore Venus's atmosphere and surface with cutting-edge technology. Meanwhile, NASA's Da Vinci Plus and Veritas missions will study the planet's geology and atmospheric composition, potentially shedding light on its climatic history. 11 minutes and 10 seconds as humanity prepares to revisit Venus, the legacy of the Venera missions serves as a reminder of what is possible when determination and scientific curiosity drive exploration. The Soviet Union's pioneering efforts laid the groundwork for future discoveries, proving that even in the most extreme environments, there is always something new to learn. Perhaps, in the near future, we will finally answer the lingering question: could life, past or present, exist on Venus? Only time will tell. The renewed focus on Venus signals a shift in planetary exploration priorities. For decades, Mars was seen as the primary target in the search for extraterrestrial life. But the discovery of phosphine gas, a potential biosignature, has prompted scientists to reconsider Venus's potential. Could microbial life exist in the planet's upper atmosphere, where conditions are more temperate than on its surface? If so, how did it survive in such an extreme environment? 12 minutes and 17 seconds, these questions have fueled a new wave of missions designed to unlock Venus's secrets. NASA's Da Vinci Plus mission will send a probe plunging through Venus's atmosphere, analyzing its composition layer by layer. Meanwhile, Veritas will use radar to create high-resolution maps of the planet's surface, revealing geological activity that could indicate whether Venus was once habitable. 12 minutes and 47 seconds. Russia, building on its Venera legacy, has announced its own ambitious project, Venera-D. This mission aims to send an advanced lander capable of withstanding Venus's harsh conditions for an extended period, potentially surviving longer than any previous spacecraft. Scientists hope Venera-D will provide definitive answers about Venus's geology, climate history, and the presence of any complex atmospheric processes. 13 minutes and 17 seconds, but Venus's mysteries extend beyond the possibility of life. Some scientists speculate that volcanic activity could still be shaping the planet's surface. Recent radar images suggest that lava flows may have occurred in the recent geological past, perhaps even within the last few decades. If active volcanoes exist on Venus today, they could be a key factor in maintaining the planet's thick atmosphere and extreme greenhouse effect. 13 minutes and 50 seconds. The potential discovery of ongoing geological activity has far-reaching implications. Understanding Venus's volcanic processes could provide insight into how Earth's own climate may change in the future. Some researchers even believe that studying Venus could help us predict the long-term effects of climate change on our own planet. 14 minutes and 19 seconds. Despite the scientific importance of Venus, challenges remain. The planet's harsh conditions make long-term missions difficult. Any spacecraft attempting to land must endure temperatures hot enough to melt lead, pressures similar to those found deep in Earth's oceans, and corrosive clouds of sulfuric acid. Engineers continue to develop heat-resistant materials and advanced cooling systems to extend the lifespan of Venus landers.